Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. How are we doing here on a Monday? Hope you are well. Hope everything went well for you this weekend. I was in Green Bay at St. Norbert's College for a 10U baseball tournament on their softball fields, I believe they were.
And how was that?
It was fine up until bracket play, and then it went horribly wrong. But pool play, we did really good in pool play. We were the 1 seed, and then we looked like the 555th seed on bracket play day. But it's nonetheless.
At least you had at least 1 or 2
But
days. Yeah.
anytime you go on any of those long trips with your kid's baseball team or basketball team or whatever, those kids don't really remember as much about the details later in life. Like when you're at your buddy's wedding reception or whatever else, you're talking about what happened when you're playing football on the field at Titletown over the weekend, or what happened when you were in the pool. And then there was a bar restaurant there in Titletown District where they have, I think it's called Home Field. I think that's the name of it. They have these simulators or whatever else. So you can do golf, baseball, soccer, whatever. So they did all three: golf, baseball, and soccer, and had all kinds of fun in that. Then they were playing kickball out on the football field and football and screwing around. And so, yeah, it was a good weekend. We had a lot of fun. And coming up on today's show, maybe Tim Dillard. I say maybe because we've not heard from Tim Dillard to confirm. So maybe Tim Dillard coming up this hour of the show. Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MILB. I know we had him on last week, Tuesday, I think it was. But now that the Brewers draft is done, we got to get him on to talk about the Brewers draft picks as we talk about the crew coming up at 3 o'clock. Jim Owczarski, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Bucks beat writer, will join us at 3:20. Today, so we'll get into that. So those are the guests that we think we're going to have on today's show. I know for sure Dykstra and Owczarski. We're just not positive on Dillard. It's All-Star week, so if he's off, he's off. I'm not gonna care one way or the other.
A little break, I get it.
Absolutely, he needs a break. Everybody needs a break from me. Tommy needed a break so much he left. So I mean, it happens. It happens to the best of them. I totally understand. Okay, so the Brewers series over the weekend. I had a guy reach out to me on X earlier today, and he's like, Sparky, how worried are you about the Brewers? This is the question. What do you think led to the Pirates' sweep of the Brewers over the weekend? What do you think kind of led to all of this? What's the main culprit? If you could put your finger on something that what happened there of why the Brewers got swept by the Pirates over the weekend? That's what I'd like to know. Nikolai Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials at WI Sports Radio. Definitely going to want to follow along there for certain. And you can always watch Wisconsin Sports Daily and the Growth Law video stream and on Instagram Live, X, and YouTube at WI Sports Radio, plus the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page. Injured Growth gets it. I'll start. I think it's really easy. This team has been playing with 1 day off for over 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. They're tired, man. They're tired. This fatigue thing with Miz, when that came out, I was like, okay. Now, to be honest, my initial response was, okay. And then I said, but if he pitches in the All-Star game, I'm going to be mad. That's how it came out of my mouth when I saw they were scratching him for fatigue. But that's not what's going to happen. He's not pitching in the All-Star game. So I'm fine with that. To help explain the Mizorowski thing just a little bit clearer, and I'm sure most of you already know this, but just to throw it out there for those of you that don't pay really, really super close attention to what's going on. He had a jump in innings pitched last year for a single season. Because remember, he's a young guy still. So now they were projecting another potential 50 or 60 inning jump this year from what he pitched last year, which was 140 or whatever it was. Now you're projecting 195, 200, somewhere in that area for this year. I don't think it's crazy of the Brewers to slow play him now the rest of the year. Meaning he's tired in August, skip a start and come back to him later. Or something that you can't prove, happens and you put him on the IL to give him a couple weeks off and then bring him back and see what happens after that. I don't think that's crazy or wrong. Now, I don't know how he is going to feel about it. My only caveat to this is simply you can't rest him too much to where it costs him the Cy Young. You owe it to him, in my opinion, to let him try to win this award this year. He's earned being the front runner by a significant margin right now. You have to let him try and finish and win this thing. Now, if he misses 3 starts, and he's still right there and he's good, fine with me. But you just don't cost him the Cy Young by playing it too cautious, thinking maybe about how this is going to affect him next year, how this is going to affect him in 3 years, or whatever the case may be. You have to kind of toe that line of how much to sit him or not. The other thing you could do, which has been suggested to me, is just say, hey, man, in August, you're going 5 innings a game. We're not pitching more than 5 innings. I don't care if you have 60 pitches in the 5th inning, you're coming out. You could also do that. And I don't think he's going to like that either, if we're being honest. But you have to protect him to a certain degree while still allowing him to be in a position to win the Cy Young, Charlie. That's the first thing from this weekend.
That decision to protect him, though, becomes so much harder when you have 2 of your best starting pitchers on the 60-day IL now in Quinn Priester and Brandon Woodruff recently added to that. You have Kyle Harrison, who has been your second best starting pitcher.
Hold on. Let's go back. I'll let you finish. But realistically, you've pitched him without both of them most of the year. Priester hasn't pitched all year. And Woodruff comes back for 2 or 3 starts and goes out again. So really, you've been doing this without both of them. You've been carried by Harrison and Mizorowski and the rest of the pitchers.
But you push that aside because Jacob Mizorowski is able to go 7 to 8 innings every single game is fantastic. Yeah. When he's not doing that, those 2 guys not being in that rotation, I think definitely affects, and you notice their absence a little bit more. You have Kyle Harrison, who's hit the 15-day IL, and I know that doesn't seem like it's going to be as long-term, just a little discomfort in his elbow is all he's saying.
It better not be long-term.
They keep saying he doesn't need imaging, that everything's going to be fine. He's just going to take a rest. He'll come back. He'll be okay, ready to go. You have that on the aisle. Like all these other guys dealing with these injuries. Aaron Ashby feels like a guy that might need some kind of rest coming up soon here too. I think some of these young pitchers are starting to pitch a lot more than they ever had for a consistent period of time. Yeah. That's going to catch up to them a little bit. You have to be more cautious with Jacob Mizorowski when all the other factors around him are saying that you need to be cautious. I think in a bubble, yes, you look at Jacob Mizorowski and said, no, you got to let him pitch. You got to let him go win that Cy Young. And I agree. I want him to go and win the Cy Young, but I also want him to be able to be this guy for longer than 3 years in his career because he's completely dealing with injuries every other year.
I'd like to add to what Charlie just said something else, which most of you know. I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to risking players and getting them further hurt, putting starting receivers as punt returners or starting corners as punt returners. I'm 1,000% against that. In the playoffs, fine, but not during the season. I don't want to risk further injury. And there's something crazy that happens in my mind when I hear a pitcher and elbow discomfort. And what happens in my mind is there's these alarms that sound and red flags are waving. And it's a complete just meltdown in my brain of, oh my God, please see what's wrong. And when I hear my favorite team say, we don't got to look at anything. He's fine. He's fine. Don't worry about it. They do it for a living. I don't. But me personally, test everything. Make sure he's good. Everything I want tested. I test every little nook and cranny of that elbow. I want to make sure he's good before he pitches again. That's just me. I'm not a pitcher. I've never had a sore elbow to pitch. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know anything else. I'm just saying from a fan perspective, as I stated last week, if they lose him for any extended period of time that includes the postseason, it's over. They cannot afford to lose Harrison. And that's why, if it was me, it's not. Man, everything we get tested on that dude right now. Everything. What do you think led to the Pirates' sweep of the Brewers? Nikolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, and Justin in Watertown joins us. What's up, Justin?
Hey, Sparky. First of all, the series in Pittsburgh, who cares? This is par for the course for them. They don't play well going into the All-Star game usually. Last year was an exception to the rule.
Yep.
We lost 5 in a row to Pittsburgh before the All-Star break a few years ago. So I'm not worried about it. More onto the other stuff you're talking about. I think if you want Miz to have a chance of winning the Cy Young, pulling him at 5 innings, no matter his pitch count, will hurt him more than if you just go to like a 6-man rotation. I think that actually benefit the entire staff a little bit more because they're all very young.
Yep.
They're all going to max out their innings this year, so why not put that 6th person in? Especially if you go and get a starter, don't pull someone, just add them to the rotation. Let them go 6-man for August, and then you can cut back to 5-man in September if you need to, depending on where you're at in the standings. With Harrison, you said with Owczarski, if there's an injury that they can't prove, put him on the 15-day. That's probably what they just did with Harrison. He has elbow discomfort, probably can't prove it. Put him on the IL, let him rest. He's a little tired, a little worn out.
Yep, that's fine.
Give him a chance to do it.
Yep, that's fine. If that's what it is, I'm all with it, Justin. That is that was a great call. A+ for the call. Very well done. Justin's really smart. Yes, 6-man rotation. I'm all in. I'm fine with that. You have other things. We start talking about, where are you concerned, where are you not concerned, all that stuff. I chalk this up to Justin's point, they have a history of being bad going All-Star break. Okay, you're right. I chalk this up to they're just dead dog tired. Like I don't think there's much more to it other than they're dead dog tired. The Jared Koenig fiasco, that does not sit well with me. They need him to be okay and be right in the second half of the season, especially in the postseason. You got 2 months to work out whatever's going on with Jared Koenig, but they really, really need Jared Koenig to be good in all of this. Brand Sproat, you and Wirtz, everybody else. Oh, he's in the rotation. Oh, he's in the rotation. Man.
It's the things that
I don't know, man.
The things that he does wrong.
Man.
The things he does wrong are so obvious. Like you can see, it's giving up the home run earlier in the game and getting into these high pitch counts early on against these batters. Like it's 2 things that are the problem. And then if you fix those 2 things, you can see how much talent is there. It's just he's got to get over those 2 things. What worries me is that those are the 2 things that Freddie Peralta dealt with too. And if Freddie Peralta was dealing with those his entire career with the Brewers, I know Chris Hooks works magic and the pitching staff works magic. If he wasn't able to fix that out of Freddie Peralta, that worries me he may not be able to fix that out of a Brandon Sproat too.
See, and that's the thing. When you're the best team or second best team, I guess, in the NL, and you're that team, and you have a comfortable lead in the division, right? You're not looking over your shoulder. Not yet. Maybe you will be at some point, but right now you're not. And you're going the All-Star break, you're feeling good. You can allow bumps in the road for your younger guys, right? And be able to take a deep breath and be like, okay, it's all right. He'll figure it out. But there's going to become a point in the season where Pat Murphy is going to go to Matt Arnold and go, okay, I've had enough. We are going to need to make a move here. Whether it be send him down or whatever it is, we're going to have to make a move. And if this continues with Sproat coming out of the All-Star break, and maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe Matt Arnold and Brand Sproat are talking, or not Brand Sproat. Maybe Matt Arnold and Pat Murphy are talking this week during the All-Star break, right? About what do we want to do at the deadline? There was a report out from Odyssey MLB Insider, Bob Nightingale from USA Today, over the weekend saying the Brewers, as we sit right now, are looking for an impact bat for the left side of the infield and are looking for a starting pitcher. That's what they're looking for as we go shopping at the deadline, according to Bob Nightingale. Here's the thing. If he doesn't trust, he, meaning Pat Murphy, doesn't trust Sproat, and Shane Drone's been okay, but nothing where I'd be like, oh, he's a 3, right? Gasser just got torched. So now you have Henderson, who potentially is the 3. But again, we've had back issues with him and so forth and unable to stay healthy. We talked about this last week. There might be a scenario where they go get a good pitcher and they go get a innings eater to put behind the good pitcher to give you 2 vets behind Owczarski and Harrison, or in front of, depending on how good the stud is, and then an innings eater guy that can be that 4th guy that you can trust. You know what he's going to give you. You don't worry about him, and you just push him out there and let him be. And then Sproat ends up as your 5th starter or back down in AAA, whatever the case may be. I just think when push comes to shove, Murphy is eventually going to shove. It may not be a push. It may just be a shove. I've seen enough. I gave you this whole time. We got to go, and we're going to try to make a run in the World Series here.
Speaking of good pitchers and guys who shove, Tim Dillard is next at 220.
my guy never lets us down. Tim Dillard coming up next. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is proudly outfitted by Burkhardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at BSG1881.com. BSG1881.com. And we have no baseball this week outside of a tournament, so more than likely I will be there 2 or 3 nights this week hanging out at Burkhardt's with my kid doing batting cages. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen doing his thing, other side of the glass. Hope you are enjoying a Monday. I know I'm enjoying a Monday. I'm enjoying it even more now, though.
He's a former Brewers pitcher. You can hear him on his podcast, Buses, Benches, and Baseball. It's time to hear from FanDuel Sports Network Brewers analyst, Tim Dillard, as he joins Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
There he is on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call that is all. That looks like a New Year's Eve party hat that he is
Dumb and Dumber hat.
wearing. Yeah, don't make fun of Tim Dillard.
That's what it is. That's what they wear in the
Make
movie.
fun of Dillard. What was that? What is that?
It's just a costume, Dumb and Dumber hat from years ago. I didn't brush my hair. I brushed my beard, forgot to brush my hair. So I was like, I'm going to put this on. It was just sitting over here to the side. So
Did you wear it to Domino's when he went to get pizza that one time?
Oh no, Domino's Italian Bistro. No,
Yeah.
no,
This
That's
is more of
fancier
a
than that Spark
yeah.
here.
This is a party hat.
You both suck. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Brewers sweep over the weekend. I guess my initial thought was, in the first segment we just said, what do you think led to it? I just think they were dead dog tired. I think that was probably a good part of it, where they have one off day and however many days prior to that. I think they were just really tired. Tim, how did you read it?
Yeah, but understandably so. I mean, they accomplished a great feat, and having the best record going into an All-Star break ever in franchise history. Not that played a role, not like they hit cruise control, but the Pirates played really well. I mean, if you look at the doubleheader, they won both those games by just one run. And they had to have a big hit from a 22-year-old who had an opposite field grand slam off Ashby, like pretty rare. Yeah.
Yep.
So that right there was really what did it in. But I mean, don't take anything away from the Pirates. They made pitches when they needed to. They made mistakes. Maybe the Brewers didn't capitalize as much as we've seen in the past, but I think they were just at the end of a really long road trip. I think they saw the finish line there and they thought they were going to be able to make it. And the Pirates had other plans.
Okay, Brandon Sproat got his start. Gasser got a start in all of this. Obviously, no Harrison, no Miz when all is said and done. These young guys, as you look ahead to the second half, we've talked about last year about Mizorowski and innings pitch and how that whole thing was going to play out. And even this year, going from like 140, he's projected to be like 195 or somewhere in that area probably. That's another sizable jump year to year. Do you have any concerns about some of these young guys that they're throwing out there as far as innings pitch goes, as far as for the rest of the year? Because if they don't add one or two veteran pitchers here, those guys are going to have to continue to carry the load here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally concerned, but it's also not me that's making any of the decisions or pitching. So
sure,
just from being an observer, there's really no protocol to follow. I mean, we saw this a couple of years ago with Paul Skeens. Like suddenly this guy, the innings, there's no formula, there's no pamphlet that you unfold and go, oh, this is what you do with your superstar who's reaching, tops of career everything, pitches thrown in a season, innings, batters faced. There's a lot that goes into it. I don't know. I think they're going to do the best they can because I think instead of winning a game in what's today, mid-July, I think they are more concerned about can we keep arms healthy and people healthy in September in October, because in their mind, that's way more important because of where they are right now. Now, that being said, if they were in the Pirate situation, they're just one or two over 500 and they're looking to get into a wild card or looking to make a push. I think you see probably maybe Harrison and definitely Mizorowski in that situation. So I think this is a protocol they put in place just because their record is so good and they do have a lead and they'll have that lead coming out of the All-Star break.
The one thing, Tim Dillard, that fans are having fun with at this point is Joey Ortiz, whose offense all of a sudden turned on quickly as soon as he went over to third base. Seach just left him at third. Never would have had the offensive struggles. They move him to shortstop. But I think there's more to it. I think I saw somewhere online somebody talking about that he shortened his stride when he's swinging the bat. I haven't sat there and can tell you, go back and look and be like, oh, yeah, you're right. He shortened it by 12 inches or something. No idea. I don't go that far into it. What have you taken away from watching Ortiz as his offensive game has really picked up?
Yeah, well, he's been going out early a little bit. Several times I saw him, especially at home. Didn't see as much early hitting on the road. I know that they did maybe once in Arizona, maybe once in St. Louis, but between rains and tarps and things like that, some of these guys didn't get the swings on the field that they usually get. But what I've seen from Joey is that the strikeouts have plummeted. He is not striking out. But he's not walking, which is not part of his game right now, which is completely fine. They got plenty of guys that will see pitches. He's looking to attack. And even when he's been getting out lately, he's been hitting the ball hard. And I think it's coming together. I think just personally watching, the story of him last year and then going into this year, I think he's excited to go up to the plate now. I think there was times early on in the season when he was struggling where he was like, I don't know if I'm the guy right now, or I don't feel comfortable in my swing. And you look and you see maybe a guy that's timid. I'm taught to look for that. As a pitcher, how is this guy walking up to the plate? How is he standing in the box? How is he commanding the batter's box? And I think we've seen that in the last month or so, especially in July, that he is going up to the plate going, no, I want to be up here. I'm the man that's supposed to be in here right now. And I think that mindset is kind of what he's playing into. He's been ultra aggressive. Pitchers know that, and they're still giving up hits, which is a great sign for him.
No question. He is Tim Dillard, of course, Brewers TV analyst. Do I have to say Peacock analyst as well, technically then, right? How different has that been for you, being a part of those broadcasts when you get to be it?
Yeah, really fun. Back-to-back Sundays. Who knew? There were 13 games across Peacock that they did. So it was like, let's just grab Dillard from the Brewers side and Steve Barthum from Diamondback side, and met Steve the day before. We hung out all day the next day. Got to go into the Arizona Diamondbacks clubhouse before the game, talked to Torey Lovello, which was awesome. He was talking to Corbin Burns, and when I walked in his office, and they were talking about me because they heard I was doing the game. And so I really hung out with them for like 10 or 15 minutes and then got to, do the manager interviews and things like that. It was really cool. It was really cool catching up. It was really cool seeing that side of it. Would never be allowed to do that probably if I was just the Brewers guy that day. So, when you get a peek behind the scenes, it's really fun. And then getting to hang out with Bob Walk yesterday was phenomenal. Bob Walk, it has a huge fan in me, a guy that's been around. He's done it. He has so much joy looking back on his career, looking at what he's doing now, what the future holds. It was, to me, that's some of the funnest part. The funnest part is hanging out with some folks that love what they're doing. And then also showing a little, the world a little bit of, hey, the Brewers are good, by the way. Sometimes it gets overlooked.
That's the thing. I mean, you go back in the day, you never got this. When it was over-the-air TV, you just had a national broadcast crew. Now, the Brewers fans got spoiled because Euchre was a part of a lot of those national crews. So you had somebody there. And then even for a while, before they started doing this, you had Vasgersian. Okay, still spoiled. Still had like a former guy, a Brewer guy kind of there, kind of pulling for the Brewers or having that say. I like this, and I would assume every fan base likes this concept of taking one from each team with a play-by-play guy and go and see what it sounds like, because now you're getting, like you said, the insight from both teams.
Yeah, usually there's like a Zoom call or like a group text thread or maybe just a phone call of like, hey, how is this going to look? And I want to try to be a little unbiased either way. Like I love good baseball. I don't care which team does the good baseball. I really hope it's the Brewers, obviously. But if there's good baseball, call it out. There's nothing wrong with that. There's kids that are watching, and if there's something to point out and learn, it doesn't have to be your special guy, your special team, your special pitcher. Point out what's good about the game and what they did. And I think that's what I enjoy about it the most, because, a lot of times there's really no benefit to go, hey, look at this, play by Brian Reynolds. Like, nobody really cares, but I do. I love good baseball. And so I think it's accepted a little bit more on the national broadcast. One thing that I really don't want to lean into too much is dogging either team in one way or the other. So I think that the average fan that's out there, that's like, anytime they hear somebody talking about the other team and praising them, I can see why they're a little bit like, what are you doing? So there has to be a balance there. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having that balance, because it's about good baseball. And just being completely biased right now, the Brewers know what good baseball looks like.
No doubt about it. Tim Dillard, Brewers TV play-by-play analyst. Follow him on X at Dim Tiller as he joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. I want to also kind of get into a little bit your thoughts, because you get to watch Mizorowski obviously every fifth day and watch him pitch. You've seen Skeens pitch. The Brewers, for whatever the reason, have had some success against him in his career early on in his career. What's the biggest difference maybe other than the velocity of Mizorowski, but what's the biggest difference between those two guys right now, if there is a significant difference between those two guys, Mizorowski and Skeens?
Well, I think they were very similar last year. I think Skeens with the velocity drop off, and we've seen Mizorowski velocity uptick. I think we're still seeing Mizorowski in that new stage. I think Paul Skeens is starting to feel what it's like to be, second full season, 3 long seasons for him. But the big difference I see is just pitch sequencing, pitch arsenals. Mizorowski honestly could go out there with a fastball and probably do really well. Just a fastball. He could probably, if he was locating it really well, I think he'd be completely fine. Don't see that from Paul Skeens. But what I did see from Paul Skeens, was that yesterday? Man, that feels like a long time ago. But yes, yesterday. He was throwing all of his pitches in the zone early. He knew the Brewers were going to be swinging. He wanted to get ahead of them. He did not want 20-pitch innings like he saw in the doubleheader before that. So he was throwing changeup first pitch. He was throwing slider first pitch, curveball, fastball, whatever he was throwing. He's got 6 pitches or 7. Whatever he was throwing it right down the middle. I don't think he was getting him on, look how great this pitch is. I think he was getting onto him like, they don't know what to look for. There was no sequences. I'm going back and looking at I like to keep a tally of like, okay, how's he pitching these guys? And if there's no rhyme or reason, that just shows that was the plan that day. The plan that day was to not let them zero in on 1 or 2 or 3 pitches. It was use everything and throw it near the plate. That's why he got a lot of early outs. That's why he didn't go a ton of deep counts. He would have gone deeper in the ball game had he not had to probably sit on the bench for 40 minutes. But that's the difference. I feel like Mizorowski just needs 1, possibly 2 pitches at times. And right now, I think Skeens is doing well in an all-star with 6.
I'm going to follow up with a average fan question potentially, which is, so Tim, you're telling me a pitcher got to rest for 40 minutes and that screwed up how long he can pitch in a baseball game. Please explain.
Yeah, no pitcher wants to sit there for half an hour. Like, you get hot and warm in the bullpen, but you don't go and sit down for 30 minutes before you start a game. And most innings don't last 30, 40 minutes. I mean, I know it's a privilege. You're in the dugout going, okay, well, this is great and all, but how much is enough? Can we do this faster? Nobody would ever say that, but you don't want to sit there and get cold. It's a real thing that it comes along every once in a while. It's pretty rare. And because it's rare, it kind of gets in your head as a pitcher a little bit. Oh man, am I going to have what I thought I had going back if I go back out there? And as a manager point of view, you're sitting there going, dude, I don't want to throw our stud back out there and him not have it. And then suddenly we got to have a guy up in the bullpen. So there's a little bit of concern there in a good way, because you feel like you're going to win the game, but in a bad way of like, we don't want to put this guy in a bad situation. So right when the inning was over, Skeens ran out there, and his first 3 throws were not even on the rubber. He was just kind of down the mound, just trying to get like loose again.
Warmed up.
And yeah. And used to, I remember one time I took the mound, I threw like 5 pitches, and the home plate umpire was like, hey, let's go. I'm like, well, it's the big league, so he can do whatever he wants. If I was in AAA, though, Sparky, I'd be like, you can shove it, man. I'm going to throw 10, But now with the pitch clock, it's as many throws as you want to get into in that amount of time. And he did that. He took advantage of it. He threw it. His velocity was lower on the lower end when he started, but by the end of the inning, he was fine again. But yeah, it's strange. It's one of those weird elements. It's like, well, why does that matter? But nobody wants to sit around and just sit there, do nothing. You got to move. You got to stay moving, and your brain's working too.
He is Tim Dillard. He is the absolute best. Follow him on X at Dim Dillard, Brewers TV analyst and Peacock TV analyst here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Thank you, Tim Dillard. I appreciate it.
You got it.
There he goes. Tim Dillard off into the day. He goes on his off day, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. He is so fun to get on. Now, again, I understood why that was an issue. A lot of times I feel like as a talk show host, you know the answer, so you don't ask the question. I have always been of the matter of, I'm going to ask the question regardless if I know the answer or not. For those listening that may not know the answer, not everybody is tuned in and locked into every single little nuance of professional sports. That's why a lot of times somebody will say something, I'm like, and can you please explain what that means so people listening knows what it means? Regardless if I know it or not, I want everybody to know what's going on.
Well, and sometimes there's a chance where he surprises you with his definition, and then you get something really great out of that moment too, when you think you expect something and all of a sudden you get the unexpected.
Correct. Yeah, no, I love Tim Dillard, and he will always take his time to explain stuff, which I like too. Hey, don't forget, Potawatomi Sportsbook, you will love it. Not like it, you will love it. I promise. And when you go down there, 2,000 square foot center screen, over 30 sporting events at one time, 2 different levels, all kinds of seating variations, whether you want to get in a gigantic booth that holds like 8 to 10 people, tabletop seats they have like single, I don't know if they actually recline, but they look like single individual recliners. They do. Yeah, and that's right there in the first 2 rows. I've sat one, but I never looked for the recliner part of it. So all of that right there, and you go down there, relax, and have a good time. Comfy seating, Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, unmatched, 40 plus beers on tap, over a dozen different specialty cocktails, all day brunch, steak and eggs, bagels, whatever you want, pancakes, all day long. Plus, you've got burgers, you've got wings, you've got tenders, you've got salads, wraps. They got everything you could potentially want, and homemade desserts and pastries each and every day at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee. Want to go watch the conclusion of the big soccer tournament? You can go down there and watch those soccer matches as we get closer. Obviously, baseball going on. You got the home run derby tonight. Got the big game tomorrow. And then before you know it, the Crew's playing again this weekend. And if you've not looked at their schedule, the first 4 series are all teams they should win.
Miami's a little hot. I think
teams.
That team's a little tough, but every other team after that, they should destroy.
I was looking at it today. I was like, these are all winnable series all the way through. There's talk that the Rays are going to be buyers at the deadline. I was reading that earlier today, that they may get aggressive.
Keep leading the AL East, man. As long as you keep leading, you might as well.
Best record in the AL. They may go and get in and go after Skubal too here at this point. There's talking about Kettle Marte, even though Marte's got a no trade clause. So we'll see. Maybe Tampa Bay and Milwaukee all get involved. Oh, speaking of which, did you see this too? I saw this earlier today. Some of our friends over there at Spot Track, and we use Spot Track a lot on this show. It's not Spo Track like you all think it is. It's Spot Track.
Sparky about that.
Yes, it's not. The owner himself was on the show and said, no, it's Spot Track. But either way, so he posted out earlier today, I think it was him, about payrolls in Major League Baseball, and then those that are leading the divisions right now in Major League Baseball. If I was the MLB Players Association, I would literally print it out, frame it, and put it up at the very first meeting we have in December or whenever that's going to be between the owners and the Players Association. And now, of course, I thought I saved it.
I have it right here. If you
good, go ahead.
Top 26 MLB tax payrolls, All-Star break division standings. So 1, obviously, is the Dodgers at $420 million. They're first in their division. 2 is the Mets with $376 million. They are currently last in the NL East. The Yankees are 3rd. They're 2nd in the AL East behind the Rays, like we were talking before. The Phillies are 2nd in the AL East. The Blue Jays are 5 on this list, and they're in last in the AL East alongside the Mets. Opposite side of things. Red Sox are 6th. They're in 3rd. They're still fighting for a playoff spot a little bit, but they got 9 other teams around them fighting for that spot. Padres are 7th. They're in 3rd in the NL West. The Braves are number 8. Obviously, they're 1st in the AL East. The Cubs are number 9. They're 2nd in the NL Central behind your Brewers. And last 10, the Tigers are 4th in the AL Central right now.
Okay, so this is the thing. When you start having payrolls in the 20s, and you're going into a CBA fight about wanting and having to have a salary cap, and the leaders in the divisions aren't the ones with the most money, that does not help your argument to try and get a salary cap. It literally is not a good situation for Major League Baseball. As much as you want to see the Rays and the Brewers and the Marlins and those teams do well, sure, you're not rooting against them to do well. But if all the seasons for all these the White Sox, that's another one. All these teams that have low payrolls, and now all the potentially to win the division maybe and potentially be in the playoffs, and the Players Association will be like, yeah, I don't think so. You can see that we have no issues here. They figured it out. They're in the playoffs. Now, the Dodgers could win the World Series again with the number 1 payroll, and the owners will say, yeah, they got in, but they're never going to beat them because of the payroll differential. And the Players Association will be like, whatever. They're in the playoffs. They get money split in the playoffs. I don't want to hear about it.
I think there's a couple other ways maybe the owners could try to spin this. I don't think it'll be successful if they did try to spin it this way. But looking at like the Mets and some of these other teams at the top that are setting in fifth in the division, the owners say, well, these teams need to be safe from themselves. We need to protect the league, and all these different teams spending so much money is bad when they're not winning baseball games. We have to help these teams so that everybody can be helped overall. And I think the other thing they can kind of dive into too with all these other teams that have these massive payrolls is just saying, well, you know what? I think because a lot of these groups are spending so much money, they're trying so hard, again, we just need to give them this direction. Again, they're trying to spend the money. They're trying to build these perfect teams, and it's just not working out this way. Like, they got to find a way to make these teams that are spending money victims. And that's going to be really hard. The players aren't going to buy that, but that's how they're going to have to try to spin it.
It's going to be interesting to see. From the 262 from Front Row Ferguson, Dodgers swept also by Arizona before the break. Not unusual to light up a bit at the break. Pitchers will have mysterious soreness a few times in the second half. Call it Dodgeritis from Front Row Ferguson. Another one here from the 920 prediction. The Brewers will trade Sal Frelick and a prospect for a pitcher. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Sal Frelick gets traded. Not whatsoever. I saw somebody tweet out about, my dream scenario is that we trade for Tarek Skubal and like two other players without giving up one of our premier prospects.
Not going to happen. Sorry.
You're going to, I don't know who your premier prospects are, but Luis Pena, who's just in the futures game with Jesus Madej, Pena is probably going to get dealt if they get anybody with a contract longer than a half a season, right? He's going to go in that deal. I think you can potentially get what you need without giving up Madej or Fisher. Everybody else, I think, at this point is up for grabs that they can be had at this point.
Including the two prospects that have made their major league debut this season in Cooper Pratt and Luis Lara. People forget about them sometimes too, but if you're going to have to make an MLB to MLB level trade for a player that's on a contract for more than 1 year, you have to give them something sweet, and that's Cooper Pratt or Luis Lara.
Pratt's offense picked up too. Mm-hmm. He got the day off over the weekend, but his offense is picking up and starting to go places, which is good. And then Joey Ortiz is playing well. Been good to be a Brewers fan. 59 wins later. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Still to come, Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MILB, will join us at 3 o'clock, top of the hour, in just a few minutes. Talk about the Brewers draft from over the weekend. Oh, it's heartbroken.
Heartbroken? Why were you heartbroken?
I was in Green Bay, at the kids' tournament, whatever. And I'm kind of following along on my phone as much as I can. My phone kept dying on this trip, too. At one point, I had my phone plugged in. The concessions person plugged my phone in so it could charge. It was just whatever.
You need to get like a portable charger, Sparky.
Yeah, we do.
Then why don't you use it?
Because I don't know where it is. Anyways, so I'm following along as best I can. And I see the Brewers pick. I'm like, okay, all right. I see the Brewers second round pick. The Brewers first round pick, I was like, that's a reach. And then the Brewers second round pick is the dude that I said I wanted them to take essentially in the first round. They got in the second round. So I was like, okay. But then you know what I was doing? I was like, where is Dominic Santarelli, the kid from St. Joe's, the big Powerade? Like, what is going on? Not gone in the first round, not gone in the second round, not gone in the third round. And like people are blowing me up. Like, why is he not getting drafted? And I was like, I think because whatever number he's asking to top LSU has probably priced him out of the market. And they just all said, nope. And then the Mariners came in like the 18th round, and I don't know why they bothered. Just took a flyer on him, I guess, to see what they could do. And then Santarelli, literally, after the draft was done, yeah, I'm going to LSU. I'm not going to baseball. See you later. Bye-bye. I don't know how much he outpriced himself, but I think he definitely outpriced himself.
He had to have. That would be the only reason I could expect him to fall that far. And if you're the Mariners, it's the 18th round pick, sure, why not? If he just all of a sudden decides to change his mind last second, I want to be an MLB player, you just got the biggest steal of the draft.
Did you see the story out of Gonzaga today?
I did not. What happened there?
Their starting point guard said, I'm out. I'm leaving. Bye. I got a deal in Europe for like $4 million a year to start. See ya.
That's crazy.
And left. Starting point guard gone to Europe to go start in Europe for like $3 or $4 million a year, like a 3 or 4 year deal.
Did you hear the story from Washington that came out today? Sports Business Journal. The University of Washington's Board of Regents projects the athletics operating budget for the fiscal year of 2027 will have a $16 million negative cash flow. The budget deficit is an improvement on the $19 million negative cash flow they projected on, and it's approved budget for the 2026 fiscal year.
Wait. Aren't they in the Big Ten?
Yep.
That Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Not a different Washington.
Nope. Purple, big gold W.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're in the hole that much?
They're in the hole that much, and that's better than they expected to be because last year they were at, again, $19 million in the hole. They're at $16 million this year.
What? There's no way it's because of football. I mean, you get a huge chunk of money out of football. So what? I mean,
unless they're spending too much money on football, and they're a team that I think their fan bases, the money they get from football fluctates every year.
I'm telling you right now, if you play any other sport at Washington, baseball, whatever, I'd be greatly concerned about your future at that university right now. I mean, how many years in a row can you operate at it that much of a negative?
Feels like too much already.
Yes,
yeah.
Before you start slashing stuff. Like, I just don't see how that's feasible or possible. That is crazy. All right, coming up next hour, Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, will join us to lead off the 3 o'clock hour. Then Jim Owczarski, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Bucks beat writer. We'll talk about one of the worst contracts in Bucks history being apparently agreed to over the weekend. We'll talk to Jim Owczarski about that at 3:20. Charlie, sounds of the day coming up at 3:40. And then apparently there was a survey done with a bunch of interns around the National Football League for the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. There's no way those were paid league executives. There's just no chance. We'll talk about that at 4 o'clock. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Charlie and I were just talking in the break. Got the Crosby, Jordy Nelson, Border Brouhaha Softball Slam coming up this weekend in Beloit with Sky Car play. Mason Crosby, Jordy Nelson, a bunch of other former Packers are playing and celebrities and so forth. And then we'll have the celebrities playing from us as well. Mason will be playing. Thunder is playing in the softball tournament. Brandon Snide is playing in the softball tournament as well. And then Tommy Wirtz, who's now at WNFL in Green Bay, he is going to be playing as well. And Brandon is doing the show this week for Mason with Mason and Thunder. And I was telling Charlie, I said they should have like a little home run derby battling for Mason's love between Snide versus Tommy Wirtz. And I will say this. I think Snide wins by at least 5 home runs. They had all. Did you hear him talking about softball today?
I get it, but also, like, I don't trust his back. He's got Christian Yelich written all over him.
Okay, fair.
All right,
fair.
That's where I'm at.
I can't argue that. I'm just saying, listen to him talk today. He's like, yeah, I played softball overseas when I was in the military. We had like a softball league we played, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Tommy Wirtz, I think, is just meant for softball. Like, he's just a softball build and everything.
Yes, he had the game of his life.
Exactly.
I understand. I'm just saying, I think Snide kills him. All right, it is 3:00, so let's do this.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. The one and the only. He was just on last week. I was like, oh, man, I just had him on last week. I don't want to bother him again. But I did it anyhow, and he said yes because he's a nice guy. Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MILB. Follow him on X at Sam Dykstra, MILB. Thanks for coming on, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. You know, coming off a very busy weekend in our neck of the woods. But, you know, when you texted me about it, joining the show again, I wanted to jump here just because, you know, the draft gives us a ton to talk about, right?
Okay, so first round. Let's start there with the Brewers, okay? I was not really paying attention. I was at my kid's baseball tournament. I saw the pick, and my first reaction was, oh, that's cute, but that was a reach, right? Because you get Brady Ebel's brother, Trey Ebel, and you draft him. Trey Ebel may be better than Brady Ebel. Then the video comes out, Brady Ebel finding and watching on the big screen where his team was playing, minor league team was playing, and that was a heartwarming moment and all of that. But I thought it was a reach in my mind. How did you view it?
Yeah, I thought it was a good story. My initial reaction to it was Todd Johnson and the Brewers clearly like the Ebel family. There's something that they've identified with that family, and it comes from Dino Ebel, longtime coach. Obviously, they've been around the game forever. Each of them, like Brady last year when he was drafted, everybody was like, well, he's worked out with Corey Seager, and then Trey gets drafted. And it's like, well, he was worked out with Bryce Terang. These guys have been around major leaguers all the time. And when you sit here at 25 and you're like, okay, he was 107 on the Pipeline 250. The thing that triggers that in my brain is they don't think he's going to be there by 66, and they like him enough now to take him to make sure he's in the org. And then they'll figure out later, like, who can we go and get over slot? Then you have, that's my initial reaction. I'm sure we're going to get into the later picks and how the dominoes fell from there. But it always felt like, okay, this is just a guy they liked, and they wanted to make sure they added him. And now they have to see where else they can make picks. And my initial reaction, too, was like to go back to the Cooper Pratt pick years ago. And you look up and the Brewers are like, oh, yeah, we do have money for this really talented player who ended up being a top 100 prospect. Big extension now in the major leagues in the 6th round. Like, what nuggets do they have left over? They never quite got that type of pick, I don't think. But you never know with Todd Johnson. Like, there's always something coming down the pipe, it feels like.
Okay, so let's talk about Ebel in general. Is he a Terang-like player?
I would think that's a stretch at this point. Bryce Terang, when he was drafted, was extremely athletic. Both Ebels, like, you're not going to get 60 run grades on them. Trey Ebel worked with Bryce Terang to get faster, and that is a good person to follow and a good model to try to achieve. But I don't think he's quite there. Yes, he has good hitter traits. He is quick twitch, everything they talked about after the draft. But I think Terang was just, he came from such an athletic family. He had that ability to tap into that. And I think he eventually got there, got into power because of the athleticism in him. I don't think Trey Ebel quite has that, but again, he's only 17 years old on draft day. He's not turning 18 until September. There is time for him to figure out who he's going to be.
Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MILB. Follow him on X. It's Sam Dykstra, MILB, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Sparky with you. Let's talk about the second-round pick, who I wanted to be the first-round pick. Sawyer Stroh-Snyder, the outfielder from TCU. Why did he fall?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the big thing that everybody's highlighted is just his chase rate. That was around 30% this year at TCU. He batted .273, and you can put whatever you want into batting average. But typically, if it's going to be like a college first rounder, I want somebody who's batting .300 at a decent program like that, and is coming from that type of pedigree. The fact that he hit .273, not great in my book. Yes, he has immense power. He has good speed. I think this was a great pick for the Brewers. In fact, if you flipped them, like you said, if Stroh-Snyder goes 25 and Ebel goes 66, I don't think anybody has any questions about
Correct.
that. That seems like a pretty good draft. I think another part of this is that he had shoulder surgery after last year. So part of me wonders, was he pressing coming off of that, or how was he affected by it during this year? Maybe other teams had similar questions, but when the Brewers took him, I was like, well, there it is. Something has fallen into place here where they get a good player. I wonder if he's going to be center field. He played a lot of right field this year. That's going to affect the profile as well. He's really going to need to get into that power if he does stick in right. But, there are enough pieces here to really be excited at 66.
In the last couple of drafts, the Brewers have really targeted power in my mind, right? Whether it be Fisher, whether it be Burke, go through Batanti. They've gone after guys. Brock Wilken. Yep, that's another one. They've really targeted power. I don't feel like they did that as much in this draft. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I definitely agree. Yeah. I mean, one thing I will always say about the Brewers is what they are looking for are outlier traits, right? They're looking for, what do you do better than anybody else? And for the past few years, where the value has been in the power direction. Now, Stroh-Snyder does have power. Everybody was telling the story about the 2023 area code games, which he smashed a window in batting practice.
In a hotel.
I'm sure that was a very cool visual. Yeah, that was also 3 years ago. Yep. But the power is very there for him. But then I look at Kyle Jones, who is going to need to grow into power, but
that
is a good runner.
Third-round pick, Brewers fans. Third-round pick. Go ahead.
Third-round pick out of Florida. He's a really good runner, really good defender. That's where the outlier is. That's what they're looking for. They are very much a model-based team, and they will tell you that. But there's a lot of things to the model. It's not just who has the best power that's going to pop up immediately.
Well, what about the idea that they went as pitching heavy as they did? What was it? 12 of the last 16, I think, were pitchers for the Brewers. Definitely went hard in that area. And again, if you look at the Brewers farm system, and if you look at the top prospects list and so forth, it is very position heavy, not as much pitching. So that kind of makes sense to me.
It does in that. I will always say during the draft that I think you are drafting for the best value. Sometimes that's going to end up very weird situations. Was the Angels had the quote unquote no hitter a few years ago, in which they went all pitching. But don't overlook a player just because you have a need at a certain position. Yes, I agree with you 100% that right now the Brewers are batting heavy. Every top 100 prospect they have for us, other places are the best. But I don't think they were drafting for pitching just to fill that department out. I think the guys they took, like Julian Garcia in the 4th round, there's a lot to like about that guy specifically for that pick. And if you're trying to fill out a depth chart through the draft alone, then you're going to leave talent on the table, and you're going to be sitting there scratching your head of why didn't we take that guy 3-4 years down the road when they do fill out better, and they would have broken past the guys you already have quote unquote clogging the depth chart.
Some of the other ones that I find interesting here is Chase Mora, the kid from Texas State, who they're saying is going to be a pitcher for the Brewers, but he broke Paul Goldschmidt's all-time home run record at Texas State, and yet he's going to be a pitcher?
Yeah, he apparently, they credited their area scout with this. There was a blowout game for Texas State. He came in, was throwing 94-96 with a really good slider. Listen, I think if it was Paul Jones the record he broke, nobody would care. Everybody would be like, oh, 94, 96 sounds great. The fact that it's Paul Goldschmidt, everybody's like, wait a second, if he broke Goldschmidt, it's Texas State. Good players have come out of there, but it's not exactly Texas or Texas Tech or, Texas A&M, any of the bigger programs. So yeah, it's cool that he has that record, but the fact that they saw something in the pitching is really interesting. And again, what happens when he goes pitcher only and he's not focused on the mound or focused on hitting at all? Could that 94, 96 go to 96, 98? Then that's an absolute weapon out of the bullpen.
How about another high school kid they took, Kellen Tom from Corona del Sol, who was the California or Arizona, I should say, prep player of the year last year, announced as a first base pick, but he also has some pitching traits.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. And that's a conversation that has been happening, for years now. Everybody's trying to say like, oh, who is this guy going to be the next Shohei Ohtani? And Jared Grinlinger was that guy in this draft who went elsewhere in the first round. I don't know if you take somebody, where they did Tom in the 8th round and use him as a two-way player. Maybe they see how it goes this year, in instructs back in Arizona, put him under some testing. The fact that they announced him as a first baseman is a little bit telling to me, but again, you don't really want a high school first baseman only to enter your pro ball. You want to open up their options, keep them as open as you can. So that's going to be a fascinating one to follow.
Exit velocity was like 110, I saw.
I haven't seen that myself, but that's possible. Yeah.
That's huge. One last one for you. A guy that I think you and I talked about last Tuesday that I really liked coming out of Wisconsin, which is Dominic Santarelli, the high school kid from Kenosha St. Joe's, who I saw a lot of mocks had him like second round somewhere in that area. And as he kept falling, I was just like, well, maybe the number to get him not to go to LSU was too big, and that's why he goes to 18 in the Mariners. And then he announces on social media after the draft that he is going to LSU. What was the deal with him?
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely it. It was once, the fact that he was taken in the 18th round, I'm sure was the Mariners just trying to put in some goodwill, taking a chance, even if there's a 1% chance that they have some money left over and they can talk Santarelli out of going to LSU. It's worth it over, the 4th string catcher that they were considering at that spot. So I kind of get it. But I'm sure numbers were being thrown around and he was saying, listen, here it's either this or I'm going to Baton Rouge, and nobody was meeting it. Yes, the power is there, and I can absolutely see him being a first rounder as, if he crushes the SEC, as everybody kind of hopes and expects him to. But yeah, this was 100% a situation where he had a number, nobody was matching it, and he fell because of it. He is not an 18th round talent by any means. This was 100% a college versus pros situation.
After watching this draft and seeing who everybody drafted, I really don't like Bloom in St. Louis for the Cardinals. I really dislike that pick a lot. I think the Cardinals were amazing in this draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Brewers are one of the teams I rank for the top 30s for MLB Pipeline. The Cardinals are another one. And the Cardinals farm system, it's not of the Brewers quality yet, so don't get too worried, everybody up there in Milwaukee, but it is on the up and up. And they took some really good athletes. Meniscalco, who they also got, was a draft combine standout. Yep. Trevor Condon.
Love
There's
Condon.
some people who are like trying to make PCA comps, which I think is a stretch, but okay, go with it. But they like athletes and they like trying to make the most of them. And one thing I know about that org that they do exceptionally well is player development is involved in the acquisition process. They're not just drafting players and being like, okay, you guys go figure it out. They are working hand in hand. So the players they picked are the ones they believe they can develop and get the most out of. And that should be concerning for those in the NL Central, considering the Cardinals have turned it around quicker than everybody thought.
With all due respect to Mozeliak, who had a great run there and now is going to try and fix the Angels, Bloom is really good too. I think that was a good hire by St. Louis. Sam Dykstra, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Sam Dykstra, MLB Pipeline, MILB. Follow him on X at Sam Dykstra, MILB. He does all the player rankings for the Brewers and so forth, like top 30 prospects and all those ones that you see on MLB.com, which comes from MLB Pipeline. He is awesome. Love having Sam on. Coming up next, Jim Owczarski, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Bucks beat writer. We'll talk some Summer League. We'll talk about that god-awful signing they had over the weekend. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Let me tell you about my friends over there at Wendy's. The Minions really wanted to impress their new big boss, Wendy, so they cooked up some fun chaos for the fans. Say hello to the Minions and Monsters meal, featuring one of 4 unique collectibles. New Banana Frosty Swirl, your choice of a big bacon classic or spicy chicken sandwich, plus a small fry. It's time to go bananas over this exclusive Wendy's experience. Limited time only. Wisconsin Sports Daily. Sparky here. Power of Love. Should play this at 4 o'clock for those nincompoops around the National Football League that screwed their little top 10 quarterback list up. We'll get to that. Don't worry. Plenty of time. And I got to talk about the nincompoops in the Bucs front office with my guy, Jim Owczarski of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Bucs beat writer. Follow him on Blue Sky. Jim Owczarski joins us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Sparky, that was a heck of a lead-in.
Dude, I just, I lived through the Herb Cole era. I did, and went and saw many, many dumb things happen in the Herb Cole era. And then Giannis gets here, and you cover up a lot because you have Giannis, like the Packers cover up a lot because they had Rodgers and so forth. And that's the benefit of having a superstar. When you don't have that superstar, now you really can microanalyze everything because everything means more when you don't have that superstar to cover up a bad contract or a bad situation. This Gary Trent deal here, you're paying this dude $12, $13 million a year on what, a 4-year deal. You explain to me. You sell to the Bucs Nation who's furious about this how this makes any sense.
On its surface, I can't, Sparky. Unfortunately, this was a move made after we spoke to John Horst about the Giannis trade, right? So it, on its surface, it does not make sense. I think I would hope that by training camp, it does make sense, or at least a little better sense. So all I can go with, Sparky,
is God going to give him more talent by training camp? Is that how we're going to make sense of this?
Well, first of all, like if you just kind of first blush the roster, there's too many bodies anyway.
Yes.
So someone's going, and now it won't be Gary Trent because you can't trade a guy right after you sign him.
Correct.
So if I will give them that, they have that time for it to make more sense roster-wise by October. What I will say, though, Sparky, and this is where we're at now with Bucs fans in the Bucs organization. It is not about winning championships. It is not about, frankly, even making the playoffs this year, next year. So right now, Sparky, as we speak, they've got like $75.5 million worth of expiring contracts for next year. Why does that matter?
Nothing.
And why? But why does that matter? It matters because going forward, the only people on your books are Miles Turner and Gary Trent Jr., and then to a lesser degree, AJ Green.
It doesn't
Sparky,
matter.
You know that, Sparky, you know this. If you want to make trades or add players, etc., you need guys on your team making more than a rookie minimum. And so yes, Bucs fans are like, wait a minute, Jim, are you basically saying they signed Gary Trent in 2026 to trade him in 2028? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you what I'm saying. I don't care if they have $100 million in cap space next year. Nobody is signing to come play in Milwaukee. Literally, what you said there at the end is the only way you're getting anybody, which is making a trade and then taking somebody's contract here that probably doesn't want to be here and then doing it like they did back in the day, right? You get Richard Jefferson in a deal. You had a half a season of John Salmons being immortal and then paid him like he was going to do that the rest of his career. Drew Gooden's another one. I mean, go down the list of all. We've been through this dog and pony show before. I've seen this dog and pony show.
And that's where it's at now, Sparky. Like they've got to sift through this group of young players that they don't know who they are or what they can be. And as that is determined over the next year, over the next 2 years, 2.5 years, we'll see how they shake out and who they are. But to the point, Gary Trent Jr. is a role player, a veteran, and in 2 years, Sparky, they'll need to send out $16 million to bring in someone else, and Gary Trent will be that contract. It's just, that's where they're at now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep with Gary Trent Jr. So there's also rumblings going around that cap circumvention, that it was a wink deal and we'll take care of you. And they promised to take care of him with Clutch Sports, which is Rich Paul's agency. We'll take care of him. We'll take care of him. So then they had to take care of him at the risk of potentially burning a bridge, which this cap circumvention stuff, obviously, as a Bucks fan, I'm like, good, bust him, make him burn the contract so it doesn't count. Let him go somewhere else. That's my take. They're not going to do that, and there's not going to be an investigation, I don't think, either in this. But isn't this similar to what they did with Bobby Portis a few years back, where they went, wink, wink, we'll take care of you, just help us out this year, and then they eventually took care of Bobby Portis? Is it that uncommon in the NBA that teams do this?
No, it's not uncommon, and I don't look in terms of cap circumvent. I can't speak to that. Like, I don't. That's a conversation. Whatever conversation between John Horst and Rich Paul or Clutch is I'm not privy to that, Sparky. So I don't traffic in that stuff. But it's fair to say it's a curious deal after 2 minimums. That said, you mentioned Bobby. Apples to apples, yes, Bobby signed. I think he was the biannual, so it wasn't a minimum, but it was Bobby Portis, I think, signed 4 different contracts with the Bucks. Like, It was always kind of that 1+ run rolling. And what I'll say is that made sense because he helped win a championship in 2021, and then the team continued on that championship level path. I'd say with Gary, whatever the thought was when if the long-term plan was to do this, I just argue plans change. They traded Giannis. And I am curious to find the reason for this when you literally just drafted a shooting guard at number 10, and whether Tyler Hero stays in Milwaukee long-term or not, Sparky, Tyler Hero right now is the best player on your team. And he also plays the same position. So, and then, oh, by the way, Ryan Rollins is what now? So you're right. The hows and whys, I don't know. That's why this doesn't make a ton of sense on paper in mid-July.
Horrible deal. I don't care what year it is. It's a horrible deal. Okay, talking with our guy, Jim Owczarski. I got a feeling I'm going to be a lot of anger talking to Jim Owczarski in the future every time we talk about this damn team. Jim Owczarski, Bucks beat writer. I apologize ahead of time. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Bucks beat writer. Poor him and Eric Namer, and he get yelled at a lot by me as I get mad at the Bucks. Okay, so let's talk about Summer League, if you don't mind. You were in Sacramento at the Summer League for that one. The Bucks, I couldn't tell you the last time the Bucks were in California for the Summer League prior to Vegas. They don't do it a lot. It makes sense with this current makeup because they need as much run time as they can get.
Yeah, exactly right. This was their first trip to the Sacramento Summer League, and not that they couldn't have pivoted, Sparky, but I think to me that was an indication they were going to trade Giannis for young players, because why would you sign up for the Sacramento Summer League if you were only going to have Braden Burries?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that didn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, look, they do need that runway. Braden Burries did play one game out there. Nate Ament couldn't participate because the deals weren't done. Yep. But Bogolu, Markovic, let's be honest. It's Markovic, it's Braden Burries, it's Nate Ament, and now this year here, Summer League Vegas, it's Kasper Sakachunas. Like, clearly, those 4 players are the keys to whatever this may be going forward, Sparky. And the reason I say that is because we don't know who they will be and what they could develop into. Bucks fans haven't had to care about a Summer League since Jabari's Summer League, Sparky. Like, it's been a long time.
Yep.
And so what I'll just say is what you want to see is what we've seen from Braden Burries so far, like a top 10 pick where you see, wow, there's that step back. There's that explosiveness. There's this, some nice defense. Nate Ament's kind of had a little bit of flash. Like, that's what you want to see. I wouldn't really put too much into like overall stats and whatnot, because frankly, if you're a lottery pick, like, you should be performing well. So Summer League is an interesting time now for the Bucks, because it's going to matter far more than anything they're doing in April. That's for sure.
You watched that game last night in Las Vegas. Ament looks timid, not confident at all. Bogey looked, I thought, pretty good in Sacramento. I thought offensively he looked like he knew what the hell he was doing. Defensively, I'm concerned that he's quick enough to defend a 4. I'm concerned that he's not physical enough to defend a 5. So I don't even know what that looks like. But then you watch him last night. He doesn't look all that confident offensively either at this point. Burries looks like he can go play right now in the NBA. Like, I think he's the most ready of everybody that you see on the floor. He's probably the guy that'll get the most minutes to start off. But at the same time, you still have to play these other guys if this is truly a rebuild, right?
So this is the question, Sparky. Like, look, Markovic was a second-round pick for a reason, and his deal he's fairly low paid. There's some non-guarantees in there, so that also indicates to you that, look, there's some uncertainty, right, as to who he could be. Ousmane Dieng, let's not forget him. He was a deadline acquisition, a young player, returns on a modest deal, slightly above a minimum. Who is he? Nate Ament is interesting because, again, he's of the two picks, he's the quote unquote big swing, right? That the Bucks have liked to do the last decade. Summer League is tough because it's just, who's their actual table setter. Obviously, if you're one of these, if you're Ament or Markovic, you don't have Miles Turner next to you or Kel'el Ware next to you, right? Like that, that changes the dynamics of everything. So yeah, but it is about those guys. And I think what makes, back to the Gary Trent conversation, what makes the current roster interesting is that there's this logjam of guys who play the same position or do the same things. And that's fine unless you're the Bucks and you just have the number 10 pick or you just have the number 13 pick. Like, what's the emphasis here? Are they going to play at all? 10 minutes off the bench? What's the point of this? And I think honestly, we don't know those answers until we get in front of Taylor Jenkins really for an extended period of time. And that, Spark, that probably won't happen for a little bit yet.
Tyler Hero got punched, apparently. That was a story over the week, and that's more positive news for Bucks fans. Immediately gets hit by his former teammate. I know the kid grew up right here by the radio station where we broadcast from. I believe his dad still lives over. His parents still live over here and all that. And I know it's supposed to be, root for the hometown guy. He is just impossible to like. I'm sorry. Like, I find it hard for anybody to root for this dude. I think it's hard.
Look, I can't speak to that. I understand Wisconsin angst over Tyler Hero specifically. He was asked about it, I think, on TV, right? Sparky, during that summer league game.
Sure was.
And I'll give him, and honestly.
He said if he would have went to Wisconsin, he would have been a Buck. That's pretty much what he said. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of old. Like, I'll give him that. Like, that's so long ago. So I can't speak to that. But what I will speak to, though, is a $33 million player just entering his prime years looking for an extension. And on its surface, Sparky, that doesn't marry up with the Bucks. Going back to Gary Trent is a role player, and $16 million is whatever. Tyler Hero's looking for far more than that.
Yes.
And so I think that's a good question. Like, is this we need a linchpin offensive player just to start this season. He can be that. Like, that. Let's make no mistake. He can get a bucket, right? And we don't know that about, Kevin Porter Jr. Is he healthy? I don't know. I don't know where it's fair to ask if Tyler is a long-term part of this. John Horst, what he did say in terms of extensions for Hero and Jaime Jaquez Jr., like, we'll see. And I think that's the right thing to say, because it's like, do those guys fit what they're doing? But yeah, if Tyler's going to start the season with the Bucks, look, he's their best player. He'll be their number one option, and it might look really good until February, and then maybe they can get off that expiring for a future first. But I would be really curious if they decide to extend him, Sparky, because then what's AJ Green? What's Ryan Rollins' future? What's Braden Burry's future then if you double down on Tyler Hero?
Yeah, they can trade AJ Green. I don't care about AJ Green. I don't really care about Ryan Rollins either, to be honest with you. Neither one of those guys are going to be here when they win their next championship. Like, I think that's fair to say. So really anybody on this roster right now, until they find a star/superstar player, none of these guys matter until they find the first centerpiece to go along with this. Otherwise, you're just kind of talking about playing into a play-in tournament. That's kind of the goal at this point. And I saw Nathan Marzan, big Bucks fan on social media, everything else. He put out all the teams in the Eastern Conference, and he said, how many of these teams will the Bucks finish in front of at the end of next season? And the most common answer was 2. That was the most common answer, Jim.
Yeah, it'll probably be a little rough. the tanking is done. The easy wins aren't there. I do think this group will be clearly more organized, clearly more well coached than even last year's team. I am interested in your point of view on Rollins, though, Sparky, because look, he just turned 24, I want to say, and look, in stretches where he was not supposed to start, when he was not supposed to be the number one option, he had months long, not days long or games long, months long sample size of 50, 40, 90, and 20 points a game.
Yep.
And that's not a week of hot play. That's like actual, no, you're the one at the top of the scouting reports. Look, he's 24. Will the Bucks win a title in 10 years? I mean, the math says no, but that's an interesting one, Sparky. I feel like, to me, going into the season, if you weren't going to trade him for Ja Morant to keep Giannis here in February, now you're just going to let him walk for nothing. And I don't know. Ryan Rollins, to me, is really interesting, especially after the drafting of Burries and acquiring Yakatunis, like what they feel about him and what his future is. He's the most interesting of the current Bucks young guys to me, excluding the draft picks.
I think Ryan Rollins is a nice player, Jim. I do. But my feeling on what that was last year was that was a bad basketball team that nobody was game planning for, and they were just coming out and playing him without Giannis and thought they could beat him regardless. So there was no game planning for Ryan Rollins. If Ryan Rollins was on a good team and was, the 1 or the 2, and there was game planning done, what then would Ryan Rollins look like? That's my thing. Like, I watch him. I'm just giving you an eye test, looking at him, watching him. I don't see special. I think he's a nice player. I think he's maybe a good player. We'll see. But I don't put as much into last year as what everybody else does. We'll see what happens this year. And like you just pointed out, bringing all these other guards in to go along with Rollins doesn't make a whole bunch of sense if you believe in Ryan Rollins. Right. And that's, and we didn't touch, well, at some point, I'm sure, talk about Kevin Porter Jr. coming back and that whole thing as well. But look, Ryan Rollins was supposed to come off the bench last year. And I think that's where this is where the Trent thing long-term, Sparky, is interesting. Because if you were to tell me which guard you wanted on a 4-year, $64 million deal, I think you'd pick Ryan Rollins as what's left,
7th or 8th man, right?
Sure.
So that's the interesting part of this, maybe as this year spins forward. If you say, wow, Yakatunis is your true point guard and Braden Burries is your starting number 2, and Ryan Rollins would be a really good 6th, 7th man. Well, maybe you already committed that to somebody else who's 4 years older. Right. So that's,
Yeah, you're right. I rather would have paid Rollins than paid Gary Trent. Yes, that we 1,000% agree upon on that. I definitely would not have paid Gary Trent. Jim Owczarski, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Bucks beat writer. Thanks for coming on, my friend. Follow him on Blue Sky at Jim Owczarski. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, Sparky. Speak soon.
You betcha. There he is. Jim Owczarski joining us. Guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. We are on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I know a lot of you will not care about the Bucks in Wausau once the Bucks season starts. I know a lot of you will not care in Duluth Superior once the Bucks season starts. And I know probably quite a few of you, maybe not as many as the other two, probably will not care as much in Green Bay, in Appleton, the Fox Valley about the Bucks, because the last time the Bucks were bad, when we had a network, nobody cared. In Madison, maybe there'll be some more that care listening to the fan in Madison. And then in Milwaukee, obviously, a lot more people will care. I'm going to tell you right now, let's make the declaration today. There is not going to be a ton of Bucks basketball talk necessarily like there was for Giannis last basketball season. We're just not going to be at the same level. I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to be. Are we going to try and get at least one Bucks segment in every day? Yes. Just like I try to get a Brewer segment in every day and a Packers segment in every day. But as far as like talking about a 12 or 15 win team or whatever this thing ends up being, probably not. I literally, prior to that Nathan Marzian tweet, I was like, maybe they get 25, 30 wins, somewhere in that area. Man, you look at that damn list of teams, everybody got better. Like, maybe not New Orleans, but everybody got better for the most part, right? I mean, well, not New Orleans, maybe not the Hornets because they moved ball, but Washington's better, right? With Trae Young, they added, they got better. Look at some of the teams on the bottom. Toronto gets Kawhi.
Maybe there's still
things
going on with that.
Literally, like right, with the investigation. But I mean, if they get Kawhi, I mean, that's tough. That's tough sledding. Coming up next, Charlie Sounds of the Day, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. Other side of the glass doing his thing. Let me tell you about my fine folks over there at Bryan and Stratton College. You have a young athlete and you're trying to figure out and help them figure out where they're going to go to college. And you think you're Division I, but you're really not getting the offers that you thought, but you think you're close to maybe getting to Division I got your place. Bryan and Stratton. They're looking for, if you're looking for a college where you can excel in the classroom and on the field, at Bryan Stratton College's Wauwatosa campus, you can compete in NJCAA Division II athletics with more than 20 men's and women's teams to choose from. It's a junior college. Keep playing the sport you love while earning your associate degree in business, healthcare, criminal justice, or digital marketing. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify. Visit bryanstratton.edu and discover how Bryan and Stratton College is built different for you. Again, so the idea, the theory is if you're good enough, you play there for 2 years and then potentially go and play at a Division I for your last 2 years of eligibility. It happens all the time. I believe Miz was a JUCO player. That is a great way to go. And it's not nearly as expensive as, say, D1 if you're getting a scholarship to go play D2 at Bryan and Stratton. And right now they're looking for track and field athletes specifically to compete for the upcoming season, next couple of seasons. So if you're interested in that, but again, baseball, basketball, all those different sports that you all love.
Well, and even if you're not a D1 athlete, you're just somebody who's looking to continue your athletic career to some capacity at a smaller place, a more intimate place. This is the place to go.
And great coaches, great education. Again, check them out, bryanstratton.edu.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, where to?
Well, you brought it up with Jim Owczarski earlier in your interview with him. So let's play Tyler Hero discussing his decommitment from Wisconsin.
My last question, Tyler, Jimmy Jackson wanted me to ask that. He wanted to know, why did you decommit from Wisconsin in college?
I mean, I could keep it simple as if I didn't decommit, I probably wouldn't be on the books right now. So I had to make a business decision at the time to go to Kentucky, play for Coach Cal, and now you see where we're at with it now. So I'm excited to be home, leave that in the past. I'm representing the city and state like no other, so let's do it.
I hear him. I can't. I just can't. So somebody texted him, talking text line, most punchable face in the NBA. I'm not going to go that far. That was Jay Cutler for a long time in the National
Tyrese
Football
Halliburton,
League.
you talk about, you don't like.
I know, but Halliburton has done stuff specifically trash talking Milwaukee. I don't believe Hero has ever trash talked Milwaukee to the best of my beliefs. I don't believe that's ever happened. There's just, I don't know, just don't like the dude. All right, go ahead.
Next up, we're going to hear from our friend Peter Bukowski from his Locked On Packers podcast, and he was discussing the Packers needing to take their rivalries seriously now.
The Bears, they could talk their little trash. Lions fans could hate the Packers, and they did, and they do. The phrase, ironically, is Lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. And for decades, the Lions were not lions, they were sheep. And that changed. That changed when Dan Campbell got there and Brad Holmes got there. And all of a sudden, they start winning some games, some big games in 2022. Well, here come the Chicago Bears. And whether we think that what happened last year is sustainable moving forward, and I don't, Ben Johnson has made it personal. And he made it personal off the rip. His very first press conference, he takes a shot at Matt LaFleur and makes it clear this is going to be a rivalry again. Now, I'm not suggesting that what the Packers should do, what Matt LaFleur should do, is go out and in the media start talking trash. I still think that would be below the dignity of Matt LaFleur, of the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur has actually proven himself as a head coach. Ben Johnson has yet to do that over time because Dan Campbell had a couple nice seasons, and over the last couple of years, it doesn't look quite as good, does it? But what I am suggesting is Green Bay needs to start hating the Bears. Not quite the way that Chicago hates the Packers, but something closer. The Packers have to match that intensity now. They have to start taking it personally the same way the Bears take it personally because they are now talented enough to make you have to fight.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't know where that comes from, though. It's not going to be the coach. Our guy, LaFleur, is not going to be the guy. That's just not his personality. That's not who he's going to be. Who can be that guy? Can Micah Parsons rally the troops? and get them mad and everything else. I don't know who that guy is on the offensive side of the ball. Like David Bakhtiari could have been that guy. Josh Sitton maybe could have been that guy. Had that more nasty, over-the-top personality, wants to get out and street fight and do that type of stuff. I don't know if they have those guys necessarily on offense. On defense, maybe Micah Parsons is the guy that rallies the troops.
Well, and you also have a lot of young guys that I think at this point in their careers don't have that set personality yet, and you need to give them maybe a whole season of playing. Is that time to get out there and get angry and get mad at them? You need Sean Ryan playing a whole season to get angry and get mad at them to build that personality.
The other thing is you haven't been involved in the rivalry long enough. Like, have the Bears taken cheap shots at him on the field, laid hits, done anything like that? I mean, back in the day, Sue stepped on an offensive lineman's arm in that Lions-Packers thing, and that's what set that thing off going crazy, right?
Jordan Love getting hit in the head, that was something, wasn't it?
True.
That people got mad about.
And they were talking about it. But what happened in the moment? Nothing happened.
Austin Booker walked.
You didn't go defend your guy. Nothing happened. Something's got to happen immediately.
Didn't even happen in the next couple of games either.
No. Again, you're not going to get that from this coach. You're just not. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Green and Gold next.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Oh, my Lord. Okay. Jeff Passan, don't wear sunglasses on TV. There, free of charge. Doesn't cost anything.
What's wrong with the sunglasses?
They're horrible. What are we doing? Like, if I was in charge of TV, unless you were looking straight into the sun, you're not wearing sunglasses on TV. It's not happening. It looks cool.
Josh, or in the morning show today, was wearing sunglasses on his hat, and then he had his regular glasses on.
Yeah, I saw that.
Zay made him put both of them on.
Yeah, no. If you're on TV, I want to see your eyes. I don't want to see you wearing sunglasses. I don't. No. And just now, when he was just on ESPN, we have it on in the studio. It looked like a fool. No, I don't. I'm not a fan. What is Ram holding on for?
There.
What is Ram holding on
Ram's
for?
been wanting to talk to you about bashing the Bucks for a while now, man.
We got to get to our green and gold update. And then we got to talk about god-awful Gary Trent after that. And then things Sparky missed. We got to talk about the Bucks' new TV deal. We haven't got to that yet. All right, Ram, I'll let you talk before green and gold update because I like you. What's up, Ram?
I appreciate it. I like you too, Sparky. You're right. Wearing sunglasses on TV, that's straight loss of player points.
Yes.
Like, that's like a -100. You can text them and let them know that. That's beyond the protocol. But Sparky, I just don't think John Horst get enough smoke for some of the moves he made. And based on what I listened to your rant, it's all him.
He's not going to be here much longer. He keeps making Gary Trent signings. I promise you.
I know. I don't think he gets enough smoke. I just don't. I don't.
That's because a lot of people don't think he's doing it. A lot of people think he's got the strings being pulled behind him with Wes Edens and everybody else. That's why.
But the alibi is if it gets too bad, they'll let him go. So,
yes, correct.
But then he's saying, "Oh, you're doing your job," But we don't say nothing about Wes Edens. We talk about what he's doing.
Yep.
And in most cases, just letting Dante go and Drew Holiday go. And everything up to that point, okay, we got a championship. Then, if that's the case, did somebody tell him to go get Drew? I don't know if he did that on his own. I don't think he did it on his own. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think it had. No, I don't. I think that was Giannis can't stay healthy, and we need somebody that can score the basketball better than Drew in the postseason when Giannis goes down. I think that was the logic.
The last thing I say is, with this team we got now, we got to deal with it. I just say this. No, let's give these guys a chance. They're going to be losing. Maybe down the road, Taylor Jenkins probably got enough pull. He'll bring somebody on board. I think that's happening before we get too bad. But, going forward, if we say we're going to tear the thing down and we're going forward, if this was the best thing that John Horst could do, I think he should be in the unemployment line.
Well, he might be at some point. Thanks for the call. Taylor Jenkins got, what, a 6-year deal?
Mm-hmm.
That means they're telling you, the fan, if they gave him 6, they don't think they're going to be relevant for 5, at least. So that gives you an idea of how long they think this is going to take. Now, if that's the logic, then John Horst has 5.
I would think so.
4 or 5 years, probably, to get this thing to be where you're winning 45 to 50 games every year, right? If you're in that area in the next 4 to 5 years, I think ownership goes, okay, we're close, right? You're a 50-win team consistently. You're a team that can compete for a title. Now you can start talking about how to get it to the next step. If he can't get to 45 to 50 wins consistently by year 4, then I think him and Jenkins both exit stage right, probably by year 5 or so.
I also think, though, that the Gary Trent Jr. deal, in my mind, says to me that the Bucks front office feels like they have confidence in Taylor Jenkins to potentially do it in 3. Yeah, they're saying the timeline's 5, but that there's a ceiling for Taylor Jenkins that says it can be done faster, and that he can help the team, and they have that trade piece in 3 years, 4 years, to move on from that contract and bring in some young pieces that can help grow into veterans for this team. I think they have some confidence in him, despite setting that timeline.
Hey, I'm all for it happening sooner. All on board.
Pretty cool.
I think Taylor Jenkins is a really good coach. I have no issues with Taylor Jenkins or with what he brought in for a coaching staff or anything else. I'm all for it. I'm just saying, if you're the GM of this thing, that's where all the pressure lies right now. If they're letting you do what you want to do. Now, if they're not letting you do what you want to do, and they're pulling the strings, you're still in trouble because you're going to be the scapegoat at the end of the day, even if you're not pulling the strings. Because on the outside looking in, at least the way they look at it is, everybody thinks you're doing it anyhow. See ya. And we're going to go find somebody else to pull the strings for us next.
Until this summer, that's what everybody thought. Everybody was blaming him. And then this summer, it comes out that he hasn't really done anything in the past year. He's just been kind of going with what the owners have said or what Giannis has said. I don't know. I think at some point here, he's got to take control too.
Yeah, and again, he could have went to the Pistons and they blocked him. They blocked him. Mm-hmm. They blocked him. Oh.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
So we talk Packers every day at 4:00 normally. And lately it's looking a little bit tougher. But ESPN's been putting out these lists. Top running backs. We talked about Josh Jacobs. Top tight ends, Tucker Kraft, and whatever. They're doing all the positions. So today, they do quarterbacks. I clicked on it on ESPN. I'll be honest. I clicked. I wanted to see. I was like, well, we do Packers segment. Let's see where Love is. Let's see if Love's top 5. Literally, I was like, let's see if Love is top 5. Did I think that Jordan Love wouldn't be in their top 10? No, I didn't. Not in any world did I think Jordan Love would not be in their top 10. Statistically, he's 7th best in the National Football League after last year, just based on stats, not based on eye test or anything else, just based on numbers. He's 7. To not be in the top 10. So then I'm like, well, this is Jeremy Fowler piece. Jeremy Fowler never writes anything of his own opinion, hardly ever when it comes to analyzing sports. Normally, any piece that Jeremy Fowler writes like that is going to be a survey of people he talked to. That's normally how it goes. So I went back up to the top of the piece because I didn't read any of the top of the piece. I just scrolled down and see what number he was. I go back up and I'm survey of NFL executives and da-da-da. See, stop. There's no chance I believe that is. I'd like to know. I'd like to know a lot of things. Like, I'd like to know how many of them are GMs, how many of them are scouts, how many of them are coaches, how many are assistant coaches versus head coaches. I really want to see the breakdown of the people that talked. And then I'd like to see the breakdown of what teams that all of these people are from as well. Like, how many Chicago personnel did you talk to put Caleb Williams 10th on this list? Like, did you talk to a Chicago scout, the GM, Ryan Poles? Then did you talk to Ben Johnson? And that's like 3 of the 6 people you talked to. And that's how Caleb Williams got to 10. Like, I seriously want to know who you talked to that Caleb Williams is 10, man. He's one of the, there was like one quarterback that was worse than him accuracy-wise? Like one in the league. And he's 10? Because, well, he's harder to prepare for because he runs. Well, based on that logic, Malik Willis should have been in the top 10 too. Based on that, Malik Willis didn't lose games. He only won games. And now he's a starting quarterback. Put him up into the top 10. Jordan Love got penalized because the Bears beat him in the playoffs and because he doesn't run. That's why he didn't make the top 10. That's it. There is no more to this story. That is why that dude got penalized. Caleb beat him at the end. So they go, Caleb Williams can close games at the end. That was another thing they wrote in this stupid piece. Okay, sounds good. And then when they talk about Jordan Love, it's all positives about Jordan Love when he's honorable mention or whatever. All positives. Kissing his rear end. If I was Matt LaFleur, man, I'd take that. I'd blow that damn thing up and I'd hang it in the Packers locker room. I'd make sure every day. Not in the top 10. Not that good. Not in the top 10. Not that good. That's it. And I don't know if Jordan Love needs motivation or how Jordan Love takes to being slighted on these things. His personality tells me he doesn't get worked up over anything, really. But everybody's got something that gets him going a little bit. Everybody's got that little something. It's like, man, screw you. I'll show you. Right? Everybody's got it somewhere in them.
I mean,
if this is it for him, man, let's roll.
Do you hang it in the locker room? Or if you're Brian Gutekunst, do you hang that in Matt LaFleur's office instead? I mean, we've talked about
both.
We've talked about how the offense just doesn't feel like it's utilizing Jordan Love to his full potential. You paid him as much money as possible, basically made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. You have to go out there and I think start utilizing him like that. And the way you set the wide receiver room this offseason, you made sure there was a clear hierarchy with the way you paid guys, the guys that you let go. You made sure to set that up for Jordan Love and make sure that he can succeed with the amount of money that he's getting paid too. I think that's one of the factors here that a lot of people just look at Jordan Love still that aren't Packers fans and go, well, he's just not, he's not the guy yet for the Packers. Like they still feel like that he hasn't ascended into that star level because they're not watching him every week. They just see that he's going out there and throwing for 235, 2 touchdowns, maybe an interception. They're like, that's a good stat line, but it's not superstar stat line. I think with Caleb Williams, and this is the same thing with Pete Crow Armstrong for the Chicago Cubs too, I think their highs are some of the best moments in the league. And then their lows are really, really, really low. And when your highs are that high, people are going to put those onto social media. You're in Chicago. You're in one of the biggest markets in the country. That's going to get blown up too. There's a lot of things that I think play towards somebody like Jeremy Fowler and the people he's talking to who may not be watching the games of these two quarterbacks all the time, that they go back and Google Caleb Williams and they see that he did beat the Packers twice at the end of the year and that he was really clutch in both those games and that he's gone out there and had clutch moments throughout the whole end of the season. And Jordan Love didn't play at the end of the season. And they go, well, I don't see a lot of Jordan Love. That must mean he's not as good as Caleb Williams.
Yes, absolutely right. Everything you said, I think that's true. There was a video going around from MLB Network from Greg Amsinger. Remember him? He's been on there as a host for a long time on MLB Network. And they play this little fun game with him. Did you see this?
I did see this.
So they take two young players, right? And they're trying to figure out who the best young player in baseball is to build a team around going forward, right? So they start off and they're going, and it's like Churio's involved, Mizorowski's involved. It's Mizorowski and PCA. He goes PCA. Then it's PCA and Churio. He goes PCA. And then they keep going. He's taking PCA over some really good baseball players, like over Bobby Witt, I think he took him. Over Soto, I think he took him. I was like, are you from Chicago? What are we doing? And then finally, he took James Wood over PCA and then rode James Wood from the Nationals outfielder the rest of the way.
I think he took Chase Burns over PCA and then took James Wood over Chase Burns.
Yes, later. You are right. Yes. Chase Burns beat him, and then he took Wood over James Burns.
After choosing PCA over Jacob Mizorowski earlier on in the video.
Then I watched it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I want to see how far he goes with this. But see, that to me just drives me nuts. Because your analysis of Caleb and PCA, I think, are spot on, which is, yes, their highs are really high and they have the big moments that everybody talks about, but their lows can just plummet a team
makes them
the
look like
same
the
way.
Worst player in the league sometimes.
Yes.
At moments. And then other times, again, they look like the best player in the league.
Jordan Love doesn't have those valleys. He does not have valleys like that. He just does not have those valleys. So the question we have before I forget, do you think we overrate Jordan Love as a fan base, as Packer fans? Do you think we overrate our own quarterback? Do you think that we're wrong and they're right? Nicolay Law talking text line, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on social media at X, Instagram Live, and YouTube at WI Sports Radio. When you're there at YouTube, like and subscribe. Never did find out if we hit that number. Tommy was trying to have his hip. But anyways, do that there and on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well. Would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think we overrate Jordan Love as a Packers fan base? That's what I'd like to know. Yes, Charlie.
Do you trust the players' opinion more than these anonymous executives? Because the players dropped him 4th spot in their top 100 NFL Network power rankings.
He's in the 70s.
He's at 72. He was at 68 last year. He was at 33 the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So he's dropped every single year. He's been in the top 100 every single year, but the players are starting to sound like the executives in this situation too.
I want to know more because when Fowler put out that survey today, there wasn't any slamming of Jordan Love, and the quote that he decided to put with it was all positive. Well, come with the negative and show me why he's not in the top 10. Like, find the negative crap you have. You must have some. And put it on the quote, right? Jordan Love, not a good closer. Jordan Love can't make big plays in big moments. Jordan Love doesn't run enough. Jordan Love can't make plays with his feet outside of the pocket. Whatever it may be, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But tell me why he's not there. They had the write-up on the Niners quarterback. He didn't make Purdy. He didn't make top 10 either. And they're like, oh, his two superpowers. And they write, okay, again, if you're not in the top 10, give me why each quarterback's not in the top 10. Baker Mayfield, he didn't make top 10. Give me the reason why he's not in the top 10 too.
I think Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, those are two guys that have been compared to Jordan Love a lot over the past few years because they're always just constantly in that same range of quarterback whenever people are doing these types of lists, these types of rankings. I think the other thing I noticed, you mentioned before that Jordan Love doesn't have those same kind of valleys as maybe a Caleb Williams. I would also argue to some degree that he doesn't have the same kind of peaks as Caleb Williams either, or hasn't shown that he has those peaks yet. And I think what some writers do.
That Cowboys game in the playoffs was pretty good.
That was pretty good, but that was
the whole second half of that year. He had one pick.
It was fun to watch. But again, at the same time, I just think that a lot of people aren't looking at that stat line to see that he didn't throw for 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns, that it was still underwhelming when it comes to the counting numbers, the things people look at a lot of the time. I think when you compare him to those other two guys in a Brock Purdy or in a Baker Mayfield, a lot of people look at those quarterbacks and say they have a ceiling and that they've reached that ceiling pretty much. And that, yes, they have their weaknesses, but to say and harp on those weaknesses that people already know about, or if their weaknesses aren't bad enough to make their team suffer a lot of the time, that there's no worth in talking about those. Let's just talk about the good things so that not that we don't hurt the guy's feelings. I don't think
that's exactly why they wrote it that way. Yes, that's exactly why they did it. Yeah, absolutely. He wrote positive quotes about the guys that didn't make the top 10, so he didn't stir the pot even more.
I think about it like when you are on a team yourself and there's a guy on the team that's been around for 8 years, or you're on a high school team, he's a senior but never really gets a whole lot of play, but he's super awesome in practice and the coaches love him at practice. They're not going to say bad things about him or talk about his negatives. They're always going to hype him up and say, oh, he's doing awesome. Look at this guy. He's hustling hard in practice. That's what this feels like.
I go over the Nicolay Law Talking text line. Big Dave, the problem with Love is that he's being compared to Favre and Rodgers, not his fellow starting quarterbacks. Well, that's crap. If that's what's going on. And we don't know because we don't know any of the guys that took this survey, or women for that matter. I have no idea who took this survey. But if they are comparing him to those two, sure. If you're in response to the question, which is, do you think we overrate Jordan Love as a fan base? I think you could say we underrate Jordan Love as a fan base because as Packer fans, we compare him to Rodgers and Favre. I think it's fair to say we underrate him more than we overrate him.
And when you are constantly hearing things like this, you're seeing Jordan Love not on a list like this. You're seeing Jordan Love fall in the NFL top 100 player rankings, stuff like that. I think a lot of people start to buy into that stuff a little bit too. Even though they're watching every single game, they see this Packers team isn't getting to a Super Bowl or isn't winning the NFC North, and they start to hear what these other people are saying that maybe aren't watching the team even as much as they're watching the team and buy into it still.
Exactly right. Coming up on the other side, we're going to jump more back into this Gary Trent thing because
I know you're so excited to talk about this.
No, because I want to go over. I want to go at the angle. Jim Owczarski did not want to play in the sandbox with me on the angle I was going to take on this, and which is fine. I don't want to get him in trouble. But we are going to pursue this wink deal that a lot of people are accusing the Bucs of making here with Gary Trent, because there's no other explanation for it if we're being honest. I want to jump into that. And the question is this: would you have burned the bridge with Clutch Sports, Rich Paul? Would you have burned the bridge with that agency by not honoring the agreement that you came up with to keep Gary Trent in Milwaukee with these small minimum type deals to give him this big deal? Would you have said, yeah, I know what we said. We changed our mind. We're not paying him. Would you have done that? Because again, Rich Paul controls some really good players in the National Basketball Association. So I want to get your answers on that coming up next. Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Listen up, late night cravings. Eat great even late because Wendy's is now open till midnight or later. You know, you want that irresistible, juicy Baconator loaded with 6 strips of oven-cooked bacon. Get yourself to Wendy's tonight before those midnight cravings become a full-blown hungry nightmare. Hours may vary by location. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Thanks for tuning in. Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up coming up here at 5 o'clock. Bet365 Odyssey All-Star Show coming up in the Milwaukee market on the Fan in Milwaukee from 6 until 8. Not sure if the affiliates are carrying it or not. 6 to 8 show. And it's from Philadelphia, interviewing a lot of different All-Stars and so forth. You'll hear from a bunch of different people, kind of like a nationally type deal. So that'll be from 6 to 8 tonight. If you want to stream it, you can. The Fan Milwaukee, and you can listen to it that way. Okay, so I want to get to this Gary Trent thing a little bit here. But before I do, there's some more Packer stuff coming in on the last topic, which is, do you think we overrate Jordan Love as a fan base? Robbie from the west side of Milwaukee says, Matt LaFleur's scheme and play calling is more impressive than Jordan Love's football game. The quarterbacks that rated higher than him in the recent top 100 NFL players list, they all outshine their coach. When Jordan needs to make a play outside the hash marks, like go beyond the coach play calling, he crumbles. And I believe in time that he'll get there with more experience, more pressure, more will benefit Love's game. Do you agree with that, Charlie?
Not entirely. I think to some degree, Matt LaFleur's game plan has smothered Jordan Love over the past couple of years.
Like hash browns.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh,
good skillet.
Oh, man.
But when I think about Jordan Love and his play, haven't seen too many moments where he's gotten the opportunity to improvise and be that guy. And yes, when he does get those opportunities, it doesn't feel like he's taking full advantage of them all the time. But when you're not constantly getting those opportunities, you can't practice them. You can't get through those moments and get that experience. Again, at some point here, I think Matt LaFleur has to open up the playbook to Jordan Love's input a little bit more, like in the games, allowing Jordan Love to say, hey, I'm seeing this, Matt. I don't know what you're seeing, but we need to do something else right here because I need to change this. And that's what great quarterbacks do. And you talk about outshining your coach. That's part of outshining your coach, is being able to take the game into your own hands. But then your coach also has to trust you to do that too on the other side of things. And right now, as much as Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur seem like they have a good relationship, it doesn't seem like it's that type of relationship.
And there is what a lot of Packer fans think. Charlie just said it. I disagree. But that's a lot of what Packer fans think. That Matt LaFleur doesn't give Jordan Love enough freedom, enough leash to go out there and improvise and do his own stuff. That he has him too much under control. He's not letting him throw the ball enough and do what he wants to do. Will that change this year? I don't know. I like the way it's going personally. I know I'm in the minority on this one, that a majority of people want to see Jordan Love throw the ball more than he's throwing it. And take more chances. We'll see if Matt LaFleur agrees or if Ed Policy agrees when they had their little contract extension talks. We'll see if Ed Policy had any say on how he wants him to play going forward. From the 920, I completely agree. I think personally, I underrate Jordan Love as a Packer fan because we were absolutely spoiled with Rodgers and Favre. That's just one person saying, I'm one of those people. No question that I don't give him the benefit of the doubt because we watched two Hall of Famers before him.
When you have a standard set in front of you and you've experienced something before, that's what you continue to expect. And right now, yes, he's playing really well, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Brett Favre. That takes a lot of talent. That takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of time to get to that point to be one of those guys too. So as much as, yes, we can look at that and say, yeah, he's not living up to that yet, let's still give him more time. Let's give him and Matt LaFleur time to still flesh out this relationship. As much as I'm concerned about that, I want Jordan Love to be able to take more control of this offense. I'm not stressed out about it. And I think Matt LaFleur is going to allow him to do that.
Is Charlie using C Sparky Pfeiffer with you? I'm going to switch gears here from the Packers back to this Gary Trent thing for the Bucs. Now, again, 4 years, $64 million. So that's $16 million a year if you do the quick math. It's all guaranteed money. There are no options. It's full boat, right? Jim Owczarski from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Bucs beat writer, was on the last hour saying, hey, maybe they trade him down the line and use this to get more picks or different players and so forth. In the break, I was looking on X, and Jake Weinbach, NBA insider, even though I don't know how he got to this point and who he is, but either way, he speculates on X that Cam Johnson, the one-time net and Nugget, maybe they match up with a deal between the Bucs and the Nuggets, because the Nuggets are in need of backcourt help and the Bucs need another forward, obviously. So maybe that's how Cam Johnson gets out of Denver and gets to Milwaukee. And there would be your pseudo type, kind of, sort of star player to kind of build with going forward. around him, even though it wasn't enough to really win with the Nets. Didn't make a tremendous impact with the Nuggets. So maybe that's a guy.
Decided to move on from him, even though he was starting to break out a little bit with them. I don't know. That worries me a little bit when you start hearing that type of player get moved on from a team that was competitive in both the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. And now the Nets are trying to sell that guy. We went through this with Cam Thomas a little bit. I don't know if I want to go through that with Cam Johnson too.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. If Cam Johnson moves from Denver to Milwaukee and then Milwaukee sends back a couple of our guards, maybe that's a possibility. But this contract is awful. He fell out of Rivers' rotation last year. And I don't care that you don't like Doc. And I don't care that you think Doc sucks. I don't care about any of that. Fact of the matter is, if you're playing really well, you're not falling out of NBA head coach's rotation. Just like Khalil Ware fell out of Eric Spoelstra's rotation, I think, multiple times while he was in Miami. Again, if you're playing really well, you're not falling out of the rotation. If you're doing what you're supposed to be, you're not falling out of a rotation. I don't care how good or bad the coach is. That does not matter. Okay? So the speculation, I don't call it conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it, was that the Bucks did a wink-wink deal with Clutch Sports and Rich Paul and that agency. Was, hey, look, he'll play for a minimum for you for the second year type deal, with the idea that you are going to take care of him regardless when this deal is up. And so that's what happened. They paid him because they had a wink-wink handshake, whatever it may be. Now, again, these are allegations, conspiracy theories, whatever. And to be honest with you, for the Bucks' sake, I hope they're right. Because if not, it's a fireable offense to give Gary Trent 4 years at $64 million if you didn't have this side deal made and you felt like you had to hold it up. If John Horst thought that 4 at 64 was a good deal, bye-bye. Have a nice day. You're out of a job. If they cut a deal on the side, then he's not out of a job, and he's just trying to be the good guy and not break trust and ruin a relationship with a prominent NBA agency in the league, right? That, to me, is more acceptable than actually believing this was a good contract. That's where I'm at. But the question I have is this. Would you have burned the bridge with Gary Trent's agent, Clutch Sports, to avoid making this deal? Would you have said, I know what we said. Fingers were crossed. We ain't making a deal. Good luck to you. See ya. Bye-bye now.
We'll give a good review for your next team.
Bye-bye. Let me help pack your box on the way out with HR.
A letter of rec. We got you, Gary.
I ain't getting him a letter of rec. He stung. So that's what I want to know. Would you have burned that bridge, potentially screwing yourself later down the line with Clutch Sports, to make sure you didn't do this deal with Gary Trent? Would you have burned the bridge? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Charlie Usen, I'm telling you right now, there's no way I'm paying that cat that much money. And I do not care if Rich Paul hates me for the rest of his life. I am not paying Gary Trent that much money. And before we went into the break, I said, hey, man, like, Rich Paul's got some good players. Like, you're going to take yourself right out of it. Charlie's like, Spark, can we talk about this out of the break? Sure. You went and found the list.
I did. So on realgm.com, basketball.realgm.com, over there, they have the entire list of all Rich Paul and Clutch Sports' group that all the players that they represent. LeBron James is obviously the biggest name attached to Rich Paul. He always will be.
And old.
With that, Bronny James is also attached with Rich Paul. Draymond Green is another name on that list. Anthony Davis is another name on that list. Eric Bledsoe apparently is not retired technically right now. He's on that list. Me. According to Real GM, it just says he's not on a team, and they have other people like John Wall's on this list too. He says retired.
Yeah.
But players that are still playing all right, I suppose, DeJounte Murray and Brandon Ingram are both represented by Rich Paul. If we move down the list a little bit, this is where it gets kind of interesting. Young players, he doesn't have a whole lot of big names for young players. He has a couple guys that were former first-round picks. So Isaiah Collier is a player that he's got in that group as well. Derek Lively the second. Young players that have potential. Scoot Henderson as well. But the name that I wanted to point out was Braden Burries is one of the players represented by Rich Paul, the Bucks' most recent 10th overall pick in this year's draft. And Koa Pete's also in this group. He was drafted this year by the Phoenix Suns as well. Outside of that, And those players that I named, yeah, some of them are cool. Some of them are all-star caliber players.
But
some of them are first-round picks recently.
Hold on. If you know you're not paying him, you don't draft Burries.
No.
You don't draft Burries.
Probably
You draft Amen at 10 and somebody else at 13.
So did you do 2 favors for Rich Paul this summer?
Well, I don't know, but you definitely don't draft Burries. There's no chance. If I'm not paying his other guy, Gary Trent Jr., I'm not signing Burries, or I'm not drafting Burries. There's no way. Now, if you know you're stuck and I got to pay Gary Trent, then I draft Burries. I wonder about something else. I believe, if memory serves correct, Charlie can double check it, but I think Chris Livingston was one of his guys too. And if memory serves correct, I believe Chris Livingston and those dudes were telling teams that he wanted to go to the Bucks in the second round of that draft, and nobody else took him. Livingston fell to the Bucks, and they took him at the end. And I'm pretty sure that was Clutch Sports with Chris Livingston, and they forced their way to Milwaukee at that point.
And then they signed him to like a weird 2-year contract.
Way more
than he deserved.
Yes.
It was really weird. People were confused about it then too.
So can we talk about what the hell is going on between Clutch Sports and this team?
I think so.
Somebody want to tell me what's going on? Like, what's the deal? Something's up. I mean, this is, you start piecing all this together. Who's got Bobby Portis?
Isn't it Clutch Sports, right? Or
Just
was
look
for a second. He's not on this list here, but I'm pretty sure the last time I heard.
I'd like to know, because that was the other deal that everybody said was probably a wink, and then they paid him when he took less. It was a handshake.
Mark Bartelstein.
No, it's not
Priority
Clutch.
Sports.
Definitely
So
not
no.
Clutch. Good. Thank God. Let's go to Alan Cedarberg. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Al?
Sparky, this is Joe Smith all over again. For those who don't remember, Glenn Taylor signed Joe Smith to a very, very stupid contract after he put him on 1-year deals on back-to-back seasons, I think. And they ended up losing like 5 first-round draft picks. Ultimately, it was like 3. But this, Rich Paul and John Horst clearly have some sort of side relationship. I mean,
or Edens.
Or Edens, or the ownership, something. I mean, they might as well change their name from Clutch Sports to Cuck Sports, because they just own us and everybody they work with. It's just getting to the point where it's like, how the NBA doesn't look into this is beyond me. And I was listening to Kuhn and Rami talk this morning, and Kuhn brought to the table that, it's unlike, this is just like everything that, Russ Brawl and, the Packers do with, how they move money. And I'm like, no, I'm thinking to myself, it's not even comparable, because when you think about the NFL contracts and how they're structured, they're intentionally set up when they're signed with deferred money and with the ability then to move money year to year. When you're signing 1-year deals, none of that is in writing. None of that is in paper. None of that is outlined at all. So it's a completely different ballgame when you're talking about how these things are negotiated. So if we're not investigated and like we don't lose a first-round pick for this, I'm going to be shocked. And Horst should lose his job. I know that's just me. Maybe I'm being dramatic.
Hold on, Al. Hold on. They're not going to investigate and penalize them. The penalty is you got to pay that dude that much money. And if someone's like,
maybe that's why I'm bitter.
Right, I'm not going to. They penalize themselves by giving them this dumb contract. The rest of the league is laughing at this.
Would they penalize Rich Paul and Clutch Sports though? Like, yes, they're going into this investigation, but would they
There's not going to be an
investigation? Try to keep him away.
There's not going to be an investigation. Thanks for the call. They're not investigating them. The only way they get investigated is if some team files a complaint and says they screwed us, we should have had them, and they did this. No NBA team is going to say the Bucks screwed them on this deal, that they wanted Gary Trent and they screwed him out of Gary Trent. No NBA team is going to file a complaint. They're going to be like, Grace, keep spending your dumb money this way. God bless you.
Yes, the Bucks are the only team that could file a complaint. Again, they're saying Rich Paul has pictures of Jimmy Haslam or something, maybe.
Whatever. I have no idea. I'm just saying, like, there's no chance. There's no way they're going to penalize the Bucks for this. The penalty is you have to keep the contract. If you came to me, if I was John Horst and I cut this deal because I took his guy Burries, and so I'm stuck. And now here comes the NBA. John, we got to talk. What's up? Did you or did you not do this? Yep. We have 1 or 2 ways we can go on this. Now, again, this is storytelling fantasy, right? All conspiracy theory stuff. We have one or two ways we can go on this. Okay. One, we'll let you keep him at that contract and we'll walk away and nothing will happen. Or two, we're going to dock you a first-round pick and you have to rip up the contract. What do you do?
Keep the contract?
Hell no. Take my first-round pick. Rip up the contract. I'm out. No problem. See ya. No problem. Sorry, Clutch Sports. They caught us. Hey, nothing we can do.
You give up the first-round pick, though, in a team that needs first-round picks?
Dude, listen to me. We've talked about this. Jim Owczarski was on last segment. In 10 years, are they going to win a title? Odds probably aren't great.
Maybe not.
They can get another first-round pick.
I know things turn around in the NBA a lot faster than other leagues.
You've got other ways of getting first-round picks. They should get a one for Tyler Hero if he plays halfway decent in the first half of the season. Chris in Oak Creek, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Sparky. So a couple of things. First, thinking about this contract, I've been thinking over the weekend, is there a worse contract that the Bucks have signed in the last 30 years? I couldn't think of one. I mean, I thought the Gad Zurich one was bad,
yes,
20-some years ago, however long ago that was.
I mean, the Gooding deal, the Gooding deal wasn't good. The Salmons deal wasn't good. I mean, we'd have to go back and look at the numbers versus the value. But man, coming off of two minimum deals.
You're paying a guy $16 million for 4 years that couldn't find the floor on a crappy team last year.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Yep.
And as to this contract circumvention issue, you may well be right that the league might not do anything. But if I'm trying to do anything with Paul, I'm telling him that, look, we can't enter into this deal or the league's going to, know what's up here. Who knows if that works, but that's the best that I can think of trying to smooth things over with him since you like his guy Burries. And he looks good the first,
he does.
Games,
Yep. Yeah, no, I like Burries is nice player. Definitely looks like he's ready to step on the floor and contribute for the Bucks right away. Amen. And Bogey, well, we're gonna have to wait on them probably for a little while. Yeah, Chris, thanks for the call. I got a text message coming in here. Nikolay Law Talk and text line. I got a couple of them coming in from the 262 from Larry and Wauwatosa. The first question I have is, what would possess the Bucks to make a wink-wink deal with Gary Trent Jr. in the first place? What did he show that would warrant any kind of deal like this? It's shocking, depressing to think we're going backwards. That's Larry in Tosa.
He put up 33 points in a playoff game for the Milwaukee Bucks when Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo were out, and that was enough for them.
And don't you remember? We all said Gary Trent's gone. There's no way they can afford to bring him back.
He chose to come
and then he came back on a minimal deal, and we're like, holy hell, how did that happen? How did they get that done? Hell, hey, this might be how they got it done.
Mm-hmm.
For future considerations.
This is what possessed the Bucks to do that. They went and they said, you know what? You helped us out when we were on the edge. Yes, we're over the edge now, but at the same time, we'll still take you with us. We'll still give you a little bit because you helped us out when we were trying to survive still.
Ziggy sent in a text as well, and I'm not reading the whole thing, but at the last line is, Rich Paul isn't bringing elite talent to Milwaukee because we did this. Agreed. He's not.
And there's just not that much elite talent within his group right now. Anyways, Ace Bailey and Caleb Wilson are also on that list, so maybe they could end up being studs. Yeah. But also at the same time,
Bailey got good last year.
People are still questioning some things about those. Like, those still young players. They're not the LeBron James or the Anthony Davises like he's had in the past.
I haven't seen the Bulls yet. How did Caleb Wilson look so far in Vegas?
His first game, he shot amazing from three. He was phenomenal from three. I believe in the second game, he did not play nearly as well, but in his first performance, he went I think it was 8 of 13 from three.
I think that kid's going to be an absolute stud at the end of the day. I really do, man. I think he is really, really good. Do you know who else is a stud? Habish, and Rotier. If you get hurt in a car accident or trying to figure out what to do next, go to Habish Rotier. Check them out today at Habish.com. National reputation, hometown service. The firm's work has helped influence laws and improve product safety standards. And the firm has built a national reputation helping injure Wisconsinites for nearly 100 years. How many businesses do you go to that have been around since 1930? I can't imagine any, would be my guess. These guys have. And lawyers come and go and so forth. You know what the key is, though? Obviously, being really, really good, being the best at what they do. The other part of it is being approachable, being like a friend or a family member. They're going to listen to you, hear what you need, and then go out there and try and get you everything that you need at the end of the day. And having been somebody that went through a horrific car accident years ago, I'm telling you, you're scared, you're thinking, you can't sleep, You don't know how you're going to pay your bills. You don't know how you're going to get a new car. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it at the end of the day. You need people that you can trust. Those people are Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Check them out at Habish.com.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now.
Okay. Things that we missed. Bucks TV contract. Must address in the last couple of minutes of the show. That was outside of my kid, watching my kid play baseball this weekend. That was my favorite part of the entire weekend. It was by far my favorite part. Like A+, 1,000% times over. The smartest thing I've seen anybody do. I've been begging both the Brewers and the Bucks to do something along these lines. To be on, the CW network around the state of Wisconsin is amazing. It really is. Over-the-air TV, like they were talking about earlier on 9 to noon. You could have one of those antennas on your roof, the little rotator, north, south, east, or west, and be able to have it come in. Or the little banana ears, stick it on. There's all kinds of ones you can stick on the side of your window or whatever to get them in. Now, you don't have to have cable. You don't have to have 5 million streaming subscriptions. You can just watch it on over-the-air TV. I could not be happier for the Bucks. Locally in Milwaukee, because I don't know the stations on the rest of the state in, Wausau or Madison or Green Bay or Duluth Superior. But in Milwaukee at My24, I am so excited. And it started last night with Summer League action. I watched it last night on My24. Now, the depth charts were all screwed up and wrong, and I don't believe that has anything to do with My24. But outside of that, it's a beautiful thing. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. So nicely done, Bucks. Now let's work on project number 2.
Getting LeBron James in Milwaukee.
No. Fix the parking prices at that damn thing. You're going to stink. Please don't charge everybody $30 to park when you're not good. Just do something along those lines. Come up with a better deal for concessions. Cheaper deal. You have to figure out a way to draw people. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.